Hey guys, it's the Archangel here. Yes, I know I'm in my dressing gown. I got out the shower like a few hours ago, and it's 8 o'clock at night. Doesn't look it, but it's somewhere here in the UK, so it is. This is just a channel update because people have been asking about the figures that I've been making, and this is also a response to other videos as well. I've been saying not hating on anyone. This is the topic of what they're reviewing. It was what they were reviewing that I'm responding to, not not their video. I don't hate on them at all. First of all, figure-wise, Indominus Rex was set back slightly as I had to cast its feet and parts of its tail in metal. That's more or less nearly redone again. I just have to paint the bits. The Bioraptor that you may have seen in my spring trap video has finally been painted for its first coat. It needs its second one, and this will be getting reviewed eventually. Just a couple of tweaks on the head, and then it will be reviewed. Pinky is getting along well, and he's actually an interesting one because he actually has metal in him like Indominus. His lower ankles here have a tad bit of clay to cover up some gaps, and the whole foot and most of this is metal. That's clay there, you can probably see, and the hands are metal. Unfortunately, he still uses single joints, so only getting 90 degrees of articulation. But, you know, he's not really, like, he doesn't do very much in the game. He doesn't flail his arms, he just bites. I can't get him with an articulated jaw. Hold on. Sorry, I had to crit my neck. I can't get him with an articulated jaw, I don't think. I might try, I don't know. But, the most common pose he's going to be in the game is, if I can just sort him out, this. He stands like that. And then we have the Cacodeme, which is more of a statue than anything else. It's not really articulated. Here it is. It's not complete. And it wants to... Here it is. Stand goes in that hole there, and it goes through the mouth. It's just a polystyrene ball with a big Pac-Man shape cut out of it, and clay wraps around it. It's not fully done. You can probably see he's got his eye there, and he's got these white spots where the horns will go, and I'm not fully painted that. Now, why have I not been doing these for so long? Well, because I'm trying to implement something that I've been waiting to implement for a while. See, when I go to college, I get these silicone molds. I need to cast things in them. So I press them in, and it's like actual mold where you mold plastic for toys and all that, and you clip them together. Except I did it to the upper half of one of these guys. These are new super articulated Halo Mega Bloks figures, so they have all the swivel points and the elbows and all that. But I'm going to use these as a formula for double jointed elbows and double jointed knees. It's going to be a bit difficult, and the first figure that's going to have it is Doom Guy. We're going to build Doom Guy. I don't know if I should build either the Doom Guy from the classic Doom game or the Doom Guy from the new Doom 4, as people call it. The new Doom game. I really don't know. One of those two will be getting built. Also, my mate buggered my lightsaber, so I had to rip it apart and fix it. I managed to fix it alright, but that doesn't come out. Oh, it doesn't come out fully, so you have to pull it by hand. I need to bend that fully, and the spring and the little thing's missing. But I figured out how this works. I had to use tape, but you can't see the tape because it's in the inside. But I used glue, tape, multiple different measures to fix this bastard thing. So just be wary with these. Don't go flailing them about everywhere and then smacking them on things because they will jam. And my friend did that, and yeah, I didn't go mad at him, but it took most of the afternoon. And that afternoon was not good. Well, actually, no, it was most of the morning, because that morning was Gauntlet's work. The Infinity Gauntlets. You know, that. Yeah, the paper's a bit fucked, I know. I was supposed to be working on this. I did not get much done today. All I got done was a finger cap. That's it. Well, the tip of a finger. Not very much. If I can get this thing on, I'll show you. There we go. My little finger's not going to gap. All I got done was that. See? That bit. I got a few more bits done, but they're not attached. But I got most of this done yesterday anyway, the finger. It still works. It's a little bit funny, but it's going to be. It will be funny. It's awkward like that. But yeah, that's the goal. And now, here's a bit of a response. So, the Five Nights at Freddy's figures have recently come out. And Funko had the license. I already wasn't liking the idea because Funko, with their figures, they owned the Game of Thrones ones. And they were a bit questionable. The likenesses weren't great. The sculpts were good, but the likenesses were not on at all. And some of the articulation points were a bit bizarre. They had double jointed knees, but they didn't have double jointed elbows, which is stupid. And the worst part of them all is they were using clear plastic joints in them, which means they constantly broke apart. And one guy, Glenn Webb, I suppose most of you have heard of him, his Series 1 Daenerys figure, Funko had to replace it because he didn't, the waist just bloody broke like that. Clear plastic joints. Why would you use clear plastic joint? Who even does that? I mean, NECA did it. Yeah, NECA did it, but they did it in the old days. The old days. We're in 2016 and we have companies that use clear plastic joints. It's just stupid. Anyway, so I've seen the Five Nights at Freddy's figures and honestly, I'm majorly disappointed. Yeah, I'm pretty underwhelmed actually. The sculpts are good, but that's the only thing good about them. They look the part, that's the only thing. They might as well just be statues because the articulation on them is shit. It's already ball joints. You can pop the parts off and lose them. At least with mine, I actually disguised the mannequin joints as part of the actual robot part. But with theirs, it's already ball joints and they look good, yes, but that's the problem. It's just looks. It's not functionality. Mine don't look as good as them, but mine function better. You've seen Springtrap. You've seen how ridiculously posable he is. If I can make a homemade Springtrap figure with nearly, 20 points of articulation, I'm sure Funko can do better than what they've done. I mean, he practically had all this. He had the ball-jointed head, ball-jointed shoulders, elbows that bended 90 degrees, although this one's not been modified so it can't do it. Hinge and swivel at the wrist, a ball-jointed torso, legs that can go out at an angle, knees that bend, feet that swivel and hinge. Funko, all they've put in is a ball-jointed head, ball-jointed shoulders, ball-jointed elbows, swivel wrists, nothing at the waist, ball-jointed thighs, ball-jointed knees, and a swivel at the foot. And Springtrap doesn't even have the swivel at the foot. I'm so freaking disappointed because I was really looking forward to picking the whole first wave up and just to get Springtrap. And honestly, his arm articulation sucks ass. He can't get his arm like that. That's as far forward as his arm goes. I've seen it in the video. What the hell's that all about? I mean, they should have done what they did with the single carded versions. Yes, and yet again, build a figure. Wow! I hate the idea. I mean, it's good, but it's also stupid because what if you can't get them all? You can have half a figure. It's a stupid idea. Just release them all individually. NECA don't do build-a-figures. Build-a-figure idea is just stupid. It's good for freaking massive figures like the Hulkbuster, because that's fucking enormous. I mean, I could just release that as a deluxe figure, to be fair, so, But still. What the hell, Funko? Come on. You guys are better than this. You do the incredibly popular pop vinyls, for Christ's sake. The bobblehead guys. Take cues from NECA. Or Marvel Legends. Take cues from them. Look at what they do. Instead of just pouring all your R&D into sculpt, try getting a bit more R&D into articulation. I mean, the animatronics, I'm not expecting double joints with them because, they're robots. Robots aren't really going to be doing that. They can do 90 degrees, which is good. But here's the thing.
It's ball joints. And I've seen people say, and I've seen videos, and I've seen it for myself, that these ball joints become loose over time. Do you know how much maintenance and glue that's going to take to stiffen them up? Mine, I could have Springtrap with his arm stuck out for 4 years. He'd probably hold it. I've twisted him and bent him loads of different directions. Same with this now. It still holds its position, although it's on springs, but come on. I mean, come on. If I can build multiple Five Nights at Freddy's figures that all hold their poses, with, well, Mangle being a bit funny, but that's balance, to be fair. That's balance problems. And, well, loose shoulders, I will admit the shoulders were loose. I will admit that. But I built Freddy, Withered Bonnie, Nightmare Fredbear, although he's a bit funny looking, Foxy, and Springtrap. And they all have better articulation than what Funko is providing. And you know what the worst thing is? The worst one, and I don't want to pick on this because of this character, because this is a cool character, the Golden Freddy figure. What's my problem with it? What's he most commonly seen doing? Is he commonly seen standing up? No. He's commonly seen sitting down. The figure can't even get its leg to 90 degrees. I've seen a guy review on YouTube. He had to pop the leg off just to get it to sit 90 degrees. The legs pretty much do this. That's it. Well done. Well done. I mean, heck. I engineered Springtrap to have legs that fully kick outward and still have the sculpt of the diaper bit, or pants bit. I just took this and stuck it out at an angle. How freaking difficult is that? How difficult is that? If I can do it, I'm sure a freaking multi-billion-dollar company like Funko can do it. So seriously, what is up with that? I did it on like, what? Flipping £15 budget. When Funko have millions of dollars to invest in R&D. I made a homemade figure, and it may not beat it by sculpt, but it knocks it out of the park with articulation. I mean, that's what my figures are there for. Homemade, articulated figures that hold their poses. Other people have done them, but they're a bit floppy. But come on. Funko, if you're watching this, you need to get your shit together. Seriously. Your Game of Thrones figures have bad likenesses, clear plastic joints, paint that gunks up the joints, glue which freezes the joints, because I've seen multiple reviews, multiple people have complained about QC issues. QC. Do you know what QC is? Quality control. You know the last time we had a quality control problem with a big top company? I believe it was NECA with their Elder Predator figure. We're in Series 11 and that was like nearly, what, Series 1 was like nearly, or Series 2 was like nearly, what, 5 years ago? 5 years ago? And Funko are having these problems in 2016. 2016! I thought we'd be on this shit. We're not like Hasbro, who make things out of cheap plastic and put very little paint on it. No! Funko, you try to make figures to appeal to collectors. Collectors don't just want sculpts, they also want articulation. I'm fecking loads of it. I mean, you want an example? I'll show you an example. When these guys started off, they were not the most articulated things on the market. They were decent, but they were not the most articulated, and his hand pops off. Now, have you seen the new Predators that have come out? Have you seen them? Double jointed elbows and double jointed knees. Look, I mean, this has a double jointed knee. Look at that. See? Not to mention that. High quality materials. Very high quality materials. This guy's sturdy, although some bits broke on mine, but that's because I'm heavy handed with my figures. That's not NECA. Although I did replace the cables and with elastic just because it's better. But yeah, look at this. Soft plastic. Very high quality material. You want another one? Alright, I got another one. Where is he? Where is he? Where is he? Here he is. Godzilla, 2014. Not a single breakage on him. Thick, bendy wire. You think that would rip, wouldn't you? No. Look at that. I've been bending that constantly since I got him. I got this guy 2 years ago. Been bending this tail ever since. It hasn't cracked once. That's because NECA, literally, as far as I'm concerned, they are the best company for making collector's figures. I'd say they're better than Hot Toys. While Hot Toys, they provide amazing articulation and amazing detail, they are overpriced. I mean, come on. Seriously, guys, they are overpriced. Marvel Legends are good. I mean, they're not bad, actually. But some of their paintwork is a little bit sloppy. And also, the Build-A-Figure gimmick. I mean... Sorry, a notification popped up on camera. What if you don't want all the figures in the wave? I had a massive problem with the first Marvel Legends figure I got, which was Anti-Venom. No, it wasn't the fact that he was a Hyperion body mould. I wasn't aware of that concept at the time. What the problem was, I had a piece of a Hobgoblin just sat around doing nothing. And honestly... There's only 2 figures in that actual wave that I wanted. Spider-Man and Anti-Venom. Oh, and Hobgoblin himself. But that means I'd have to buy the others of characters that I don't even know about just to get Hobgoblin. I mean, you had Spider-Man 2099, Spider-Girl, Spider-Woman. I don't even know those 3. Why do a Build-A-Figure of... Why not just release it separately or as a deluxe? Why not just release him on his own, you know? You've started a nasty trend of Build-A-Figures. Now Funko's doing it. And I'm not surprised. I mean, you want to know what Funko do good? Their reaction figures are good, okay? Their little vintage retro style figures from themes like the Star Wars style ones, like the Spike from Buffy the Vampire Slayer, they're good, alright? They are good. Sturdy. They're good materials, they're sturdy. Not all of them come with accessories, which kind of sucks, but overall they're good. But and the pop vinyls, they're pretty cool too. I've seen a few of those, and someone I knew brought one into college once, and I had to mess around with it, and it's not bad actually. They are pretty cool. But when they get into the action figure line, they've got to spend more in R&D. Take cues here. Game of Thrones. What do you guys need to work with? You need double jointed elbows for swords wielders, because what's a sword? I mean, you want a sword wielder like that with a double jointed elbow. Hasbro Black Series does the same nasty trend. Funko are copying them. They are copying Hasbro, people. They are literally copying Hasbro here. Here's a tip. Don't copy from Hasbro. They are not the greatest company around. They're alright with the stuff they do, but they can be really shit and cheap with things. I mean, I remember watching the Ultimate Force Effects Kylo Ren lightsaber. I saw multiple versions in one video with serious quality control problems. Loose blades, bad switches. And the guy said he was at Toys R Us speaking to one of the Hasbro executives, or I can't remember, but she said that if they don't treat the license with respect, Disney will just yank it off them. And honestly, I'm kind of wishing they would and give it to someone like NECA. I mean, yeah, NECA would be overstretched, but have you seen what NECA do? Have you seen them? I mean, you know, if they produced a figure of Rey, they'd make it look a damn sight better than what Hasbro's putting out. It may not have double jointed knees, it may just have single jointed knees, but the fact is, a single joint is not bad. Single joints aren't bad, but double joints are way better. But still, even if it did have single jointed knees and elbows, the sculpt would be amazing. Because that's what NECA do well. Sculpt and articulation. In fact, Freddy Krueger here. Look at that head. Look at all of him. There's lines sculpted in his sweater, individual lines from the stitching sculpted in this. That is how good NECA are. And you want to know something even better? If you pull the arms and the head and the sweater piece off, there's a fully sculpted torso underneath this. Maybe it's an Easter egg, maybe it's not. You want to know another good thing? The new Predators figures that come out, if you ripped off the sandal claws, they're painted underneath there as well. When one guy asked NECA why they did it, you know what NECA replied with? Because details. I'm not being sarcastic here. That is dedication. I don't see any other company doing that. McFarlane, they're okay. But seriously, Todd McFarlane, we've all seen him. He lives in a world where if he had his own way, everything would be a fucking statue with 1 or 2 cut joints. Who wants that, man? What, back in 1998? We're in 2016, and from what I know, he still lives in a world with cut joints. Come on. Get your finger out your arse. And here's another thing. Some of their Walking Dead figures are a little bit... They're good. They do have good sculpts. Though, some of them are god-awful. Not being sexist, but mainly the female ones. Do you know, the only good female figure they did was Michonne. I don't own it, but I've seen it. And even then, it had a bit of a problem. The leg articulation was shit. It seems to me that the leg articulation on them is being affected the worst. On my Daryl Dixon figure, I had a major QC issue. The joints twisted right off. So I had to embed a nail in them. Michonne had hampered legs. Beth Green had a horrendous head and horrendous hands. The hands had a peg sticking out of them. They weren't moulded like this so you could slip the gun in. They were like that with a peg. And Maggie Green, oh dear God. The sculpt is there. The sculpt is there. But the paint is awful. The eyes are freaking out here. They're not centre. They're out here. And the legs suck. The leg articulation sucks. So, literally. Oh, and their new Halo figures. The elbows can't even do 90 degrees. My camera's about to slip. The legs on the Master Chief figure can't even kick out. And the Spartan Lock figure is so hampered. I've not even picked up one Halo 5 figure. The only Halo 5 thing I have is the pre-ordered statue that came with my Halo 5 game. And I'm ranting on for about 10 minutes, oh dear. But still, back to the Funko situation. I just don't think they're the right guys to have the license. That's just my opinion. Some of you may think it's brilliant they have it. But I've seen a lot of complaints about their Five Nights at Freddy's figures. Sculpts are good. Articulation, literally, the articulation is garbage. It's garbage. Do what NECA do. Go for a pin and socket and a hinge. Why? Forward and back, out to the side. The same again. It's a pin and socket. McFarlane make really tiny ones. McFarlane make some of the smallest pin and sockets possible, and they do really well at it. But some of you may be thinking, where are those? Well, the Daryl Dixon figure with the bike. It had a swivel here, then it had a hinge, and then it had a swivel there. So that was basically a piece, a pin, a socket, a pin, socket, and a hinge. Take cues from McFarlane Funko, use that super small pin and socket design, implemented the elbows and the shoulders and the knees and the hips. Wazam! Oh, and the hands and feet too. Wazam! You got yourself an articulated figure that doesn't pop apart. Unless you use shit quality materials, like clear plastic that has been painted. No. Don't do that. Don't use clear plastic, because when it comes to joints, it is absolute shit. It snaps easily. It's brittle. NECA did that with their Halloween figure. Do you know how long ago that was? Like, what, 2001? Early 2000s? We're in 2016 now. NECA are using the finest quality materials. Literally. I've been buying NECA stuff now for a while. And all my figures have not had one QC issue. I've had a few breakages. But that's my fault because I'm heavy-handed. I'm still learning to be better. In fact, there was one figure that sort of did have a few QC issues, but not things that had to have the figure be completely replaced or repurchased. Jason, his legs were a little bit loose and so was his waist. That's a very easy thing to fix. You just need some hot water to pull the figure apart and a bit of glue. It's not what I consider a QC issue because, well, for one thing, if it was a QC issue, it would be where they'd have to be replaced or sent back to the factory. Having tight thigh joints is not a QC issue. That's just joints. That's what NECA. That's the problem. That's not something really NECA can fix. That's just what happens. The Game of Thrones Funko figures, however, some of the joints, like let's look at the Game of Thrones ones. I remember the Daenerys Targaryen one from season 2. One of the elbows looked slightly too out to the side. It looked like it was sticking out a good portion on the elbow joint. Not to mention, clear plastic with paint over, whilst it's being assembled, it freezes the joint and then scrapes the paint off. Don't do that. Get a flesh-coloured plastic, put it in the mould and use that for your joints. It blends in better and you don't have to worry about paint scrapages. Don't use bloody clear ball jointed wrists either. I've seen it in Glenn Webb's video when he pulled a wrist off. It was on a clear freaking ball. Don't do that. Who does that? You want to find an example of how you do a ball joint? There, black plastic. Coloured plastic is so much better than shitty clear plastic. I mean, clear plastic's good for invisibility effects or see-through parts, but not for joints. It's like using a gun made out of glass. What's the first thing it's going to do when you fire a bullet? It's going to shatter everywhere. Come on. It's not a freaking rocket. It's not rocket science. It is not rocket science. How is it that I seem to know what the better materials are to use in joints than a multi-million-dollar company? In fact, no. Most people who collect action figures know not to use clear plastic. Yet somehow Funko still uses clear plastic. You'd think they'd know something. They don't use clear plastic in their reaction figures. So why not apply the same technique of not using clear plastic in these and apply that technique to your other figures? I don't think they're doing it with the Five Nights at Freddy's ones. But if they are, there'll be another rant video coming up. Because it is stupid. It's frankly stupid to use clear plastic joints in a figure. Don't try and justify it, because clear plastic is known for being brittle. You want some examples? Google or type in on YouTube early reviews of the NECA Michael Myers figure. NECA Michael Myers. That figure was notorious for the pin socket shoulders, for being clear plastic. Now, to be fair, it's an older figure. No one knew about them. But the fact is, they were notorious for being brittle. Like, seriously. Snapped parts. I think it was the review spot, or I think it was either him or outside the box reviews, that had to actually permanently glue their shoulder in place so it can only rotate. It can't go in and out. Because the clear plastic was so brittle. I remember one person, he turned a joint and the peg in it literally snapped and the arm came out. The clear plastic disc was still intact. It was still intact. But the peg that was keeping it in place for the shoulders to do that was not. Look, the main message of this video, as well as the channel updates, the main message of this rant section is, Don't use clear plastic joints. Get better likenesses and sculpt. Try doing 3D scans like McFarlane do. That's how their likenesses on their figures are really, really good, because they do 3D scans of the actual cast members. Try doing that. That would really benefit with the likeness, especially and Amelia Clark, because, well, her face is not the easiest to sculpt, I will admit. And with the Five Nights at Freddy's figures, try implementing better joint systems. Better joint systems. Your figures will be so much better if you do that. Because, trust me, I've collected enough figures over the years to know about articulation, and I've made enough of my own. Heck, the Indominus Rex, that's taught me something. When it comes to a big, heavy figure, don't use mannequin spring joints in the legs, except for the hips. Use ratchet joints that are glued in, because it will just flex the springs. I had that problem a lot. The torso is fine, but the legs, the springs were constantly flexing. Put more into your R&D. Take cues from other companies. Not Mezco. Just no. We don't talk about Mezco. Their previous figures were very cartoony, and their Mortal Kombat ones only have single joints. They do not have double joints, which is stupid. I could do a whole video rant based on Mezco, but I'm not gonna. Basically, Funko, if you're watching this, put more effort in. If I can do it with articulation, I'm pretty sure you can. I mean, my figures don't have the greatest sculpt. Yours do. Yours have really bad articulation. Mine have pretty decent articulation. In fact, mine may not have the best sculpts, but I've got a lot of praise for my work in Five Nights at Freddy's, and I'm not selling my figures. And to be honest, I'd rather make my own than buy yours, because I can get 100 quid or 50 or 20 quid worth of materials and pump out nearly 5 or 6 figures, whereas yours are what, $10 to $15 each? Mine are cheaper. I can make mine cheaper for cheaper. You get the point? Still, I think I've ranted on enough. I didn't expect the video to turn out this bloody long, and if I look back at myself and watch this, I'm going to think, oh my god, I'm an idiot. But still, I'm just wanting to get a few points across that in 2016 we should be employing better investment into our action figures. NECA do it really well. I think other companies should try taking some cues from NECA, because NECA really do it well. I'm giving a high praise to NECA, because every figure I've got has, you know, never really had QC issues. You know, maybe my Mr. Black figure, but to be fair, that broke at the knee because it fell off a shelf. But still, praise to NECA, just praise to NECA. They do everything they possibly can right, as far as I know. I've seen a lot of their figures. They all look really good. Even Kratos from God at War. I'm not particularly interested in God at War because it's PlayStation exclusive and I play Xbox. But I will admit, that figure is good. It has an ab crunch, something that NECA has never used before. It has double jointed elbows, hinged wrist. Could do with a disc hinge in the neck, but nitpicking. But to be quite frank, that figure is fantastic. It even includes pegs to stick in the back and hide the holes from when you wouldn't have the weapon holster in. That's pretty good. I mean, they are a bit of a pain to get out from what I've seen, but still. I've been the Archangel. I've been ranting and raving non-stop. Which is pretty much what I'm bloody good at. When I rant, you probably know, if you've watched the whole video, you probably know 20 minutes of ranting, I absolutely don't stop. It's a problem I have, I know, it's a major problem, because I've once ranted for nearly an hour. Yeah. Not my finest moment, but still. If you did enjoy the end of this video, just post in the comments what you think. If you agree with me, fair enough. If I get any hate on this video, or just for ranting or disagreeing with things, then hate comments are going to be deleted, because I don't tolerate hate. I don't respond to it, I just delete it, because hate's pathetic. Still, sorry for ranting on, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.